The moment that the prosecuting attorneys in this country start prosecuting for witchcraft again, they will have more evidence than you can dream of. When you start bringing up the people that have been doing the witchcraft, you start bringing up these Haitians, because that's, I think, who's doing a lot of the theater craft. Research into what photography means to these witches, means to these self-proclaimed warlocks, and going back into, a lot of African witchcraft and voodoo. They'll kill you if you take a picture of them. Maybe not a lot, but certain sects. And why is New Orleans, it has more movies made there than anywhere except Hollywood, yet when you go look up the rankings, it's not even listed. And yet there's over like 1,000 or 700 movies there, and Hollywood's at 1,000. Yet they rank everywhere before. Why is that? These are little undertones of when there's occult ritual spells behind things that they don't want people knowing about for whatever reason. They think they know how the energy and all this stuff moves, but really it's more, they only count the wins. And if you only ever count your wins, then you kind of start to modify your behavior to where you only do the things where you see success because you don't want this. And they're very easy to cause to have these existential crises because their faith is in a weak, false idol. Anyways, it's no surprise that we find this JFK assassination done by some... are they Tawatha D? We just had that video down in New Orleans with the vampire dude dancing with the lady. His eyes are like extra film. It looks like the cat. It's like a cat has that thing where they can see at night. Now, we look into things. It's just everywhere. The biggest thing lately for me is these streets and how the street names... how the way that they think with Kabbalah and letters, that the letters have actual power because of creation. And then I think the cars, they believe some kind of kinetic energy. And I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying it works because of God's brilliance. And they could have done anything. And if you just have faith, God will make it work. And it all rolls into his plan, is what I'm saying. It's just a very, very curious thing. Now, what are they doing with the cars and the ether? I believe that's their wall against God to try and stop him. Because you think about all the energy and all that. Maybe, I don't know. Be interesting if people stop driving cars. What happened? But I digress. What we get with these New Orleans crowds is just a whole lot of strange when you start thinking about immortal alchemists, when you start thinking about that there was a Saint Germain that was down there. He's still being looked for murder. He murdered a woman. He bit her throat. Who does that but a vampire, but a fallen angel? The misconception we have about vampire, that's what a fallen angel is and does and acts like. Look up what a sylph is. Look up what a nymph is. Look up what a Christy gnome is. What a gnome is. Okay? And adding to that, we're talking about locations. Up in the Midwest seems to be where they hang out somewhat, because you don't see any real missing persons reports up in certain areas, and these things are bloodthirsty serial killers. So there will be people missing wherever they go. And when there's not, it's curious that is this kind of a place where either maybe they don't need to eat as much in those locations because of whatever, or maybe they just really don't want to give up their location. And so this is why I've gone on a tear basically calling out the 1% as that they hang out in the South Dakota, North Dakota regions.